So I wish to begin by stating how proud that I am to follow in the footsteps of Dan Matheson and past councillors. I have frequently stated that I have respected the work of Dan Matheson and city staff so much while serving as a councillor for 12 years and deputy mayor. However, now in the role of mayor, being totally in the fishbowl, I respect that commitment to the city and its residents to an even greater level. And please help me thank staff and Mayor Matheson, who called and said he couldn't be here, but please help me acknowledge their work. I am certainly blessed to serve alongside an amazing city council, a council that is the most diverse in the city's history. I would like to acknowledge some of the councillors that have bought tickets. I'm not sure if they're all here, but have bought tickets and are present perhaps here today. Councillor Bonnie Henderson, Councillor Brad Beattie, Deputy Mayor Harjinder Niger, Councillor Larry Beattie, and Councillor Leslie Bean. Thank you for being part of this new team. As stated earlier, council and residents of Stratford are served by an amazing city staff, a staff that takes pride in their work and in the city they are committed to. I am pleased to acknowledge the city staff that are joining us today. And if I miss out on some, we try to catch up on a few, Lindsay and I earlier on, but if I miss out, still my acknowledgement goes out to you. The person that runs the city, CAO Joan Thompson, Fire Chief John Parody, Deputy Chief Neil Anderson, Kim McElroy, Director of Social Services, Ann Kirkos, Director of Human Resources, Taylor Crinklaw, Director of Infrastructure and Development, Carmen Kruger, Director of Corporate Services, Tim Wolf, Director of Community Service, Mike Bites, Corporate Communications Lead, Naheem Khan, Manager of Information and Business Systems, Jeff Graham, CEO of Festival Hydro, Krista Robinson, interim, but I believe by the end of the week, if I'm correct, Krista, interim and soon to be named CEO of the Stratford Public Library, Zach Gribble, Destination Stratford, Joni Gerber, CEO of Invest Stratford, Mike Poulin, Managing Director with Invest Stratford, and Lindsay Van Gestel, my assistant that has done an amazing amount of work to get us here today. I would also like to mention, and I don't think he bought the ticket, but Mayor Al Strathy's in the house from St. Mary's. I think it was a comp somewhere along the way. And I can say that because he won't get the mic this morning. I also would like to mention the presence of Perth County Warden and Mayor Rhonda Eggets and Deputy Mayor Sue Orr. We're so blessed to have people from outside of Stratford that we work closely with here today. So thank you very much for your presence. So a couple weeks ago, we hosted the Canadian Dairy Expo and with over 17,000 visitors that attended. And I ran into a Mennonite gentleman that I hadn't seen in many years. He was from my way past, Joe Gerber, a wonderful gentleman. I believe Joe is 85 years old. And he said to me, he said, the last time I saw you, Martin, you were picking stones for a local farmer. I was 16 years old. And he was so pleased, and he ended up getting a photo with me. He was so pleased at where I was in life. I wish to acknowledge the person in the room today who is responsible for me being before you today. Almost 13 years ago today, Howard Famme called our home and left an answering machine message. Howard informed me of two things. One, Martin, you're a conservative, but you don't know it. I'm working on that, Howard. Two, the city of Stratford needs you and you should run for a seat on council. I shared with council with Howard on my return call that he needed to convince Catherine that that was something I should do. And he did. Thank you, Howard. I have to come back to that, so Lindsay, make sure I'm on target here. So another exceptional Stratford resident that I wish to draw your attention to is the recently deceased Art Boone. Our city is a better place because of the service of Art Boone and many men and women that served and continue to serve. Art was part of the military force that liberated the Netherlands, and when they demobilized after World War II, they were stationed in a small town in the province of Friesland. That's way north Holland. It's not that far by our distance, but in their distance, they believe it's far. But in that province, there's a small town called Sneek, and if you're speaking Frisian, it's called Snits. And that town was renamed Stratford by the Perth Regiment after the demobilization. I came past that in that town, and that was only a few kilometers away from where my mom and dad grew up in the Netherlands and survived World War II. Art and those he served with were the reason why my mom and dad came to Canada, and remarkably had me attend high school 22 years later with Art Boone Jr. I frequently say that young Canadian men and women cross the Atlantic to give their life. My mom and dad crossed the Atlantic to start a new life. So thank you to Art and all those that have served and continue to serve. Thank you. So as we move through this morning's address, here are a few issues that come up as I provide highlights from various city departments and associated organizations. Topics that I feel are key in the early days of our work of City Council. These were cited in my inaugural address: housing, homelessness, mental health, the environment, enhancing Stratford as a welcoming community, and the renew and redevelopment of the Grand Trunk District. As I move forward through these various sectors, I will attempt to highlight our work and our priorities, all to enhance the quality of life for all 32,000 residents of Stratford. Overlaying all of this that I share this morning, all that we do in our city, the decisions that we make, the investments that we make, all should reflect the growing diversity in our community. I am proud of the work that we are doing in the city regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. On my wall in the office is this picture over here next to Mike Bites. And it's entitled, and it's been with me as I've traveled from school to school over my 37 years in education. And it's entitled Diversity, and it reads, "Great achievements are not born from a single vision, but from the combination of many distinctive viewpoints. Diversity challenges assumptions, opens minds, and unlocks our potential to solve any problem we face." And I truly believe that that's our case presently and moving forward. This important work on equity and inclusion, ensuring that our community is a safe place to live, work, and play, leads to the prosperity of all our residents and enhances our community as a welcoming place. I love the Engage Stratford and My Stratford platforms, a location where residents can educate themselves, ask questions, and share their voice on significant projects and issues. The work of SEAT, the Community Equity Action Team, is another important entity. The team continues to meet and make recommendations for changes that will address any systemic issues related to the roles and responsibilities of the police. Thank you to Chief Skinner for leading this work. A key team objective is improving the internal culture in terms of race and diversity, including increasing the number of female constables by 30% by 2030. The partnering of all 6 municipalities in Perth County through the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan allows us to jointly address many social issues across our communities. The COVID pandemic certainly elevated many of these social issues. The committee includes members from all municipal offices, the Stratford Police, the OPP, United Way Perth Huron, the Huron Perth Healthcare Alliance, Children's Aid, Huron Perth Public Health, the Avon-Maitland District School Board, and the Huron Perth Catholic District School Board, with the goal of enhancing coordination and programs and services needed for our residents. Our work on equity and inclusion requires us to respectfully address the increased challenges in people's lives resulting from poor mental health. 50% of police calls are mental health related. I am proud of the work done through the partnership of Huron-Perth Healthcare Alliance and the Stratford Police Force. Together, this partnership has created the Mobile Crisis Rapid Response Team. With the ride-along support of skilled mental health workers, many anxious situations are de-escalated in a calm and engaging approach, resulting in, and this is an amazing number, resulting in 88% of all calls being discharged at the scene. In our delegation with the Solicitor General this past Tuesday, he was so impressed with Stratford's holistic approach to addressing social issues in our community. And he agreed with my comments that we will never arrest our way out of these challenges. Another measurement of a community's care and compassion for all of its residents is how it addresses homelessness. In 2022, 236 households in Stratford, St. Mary's, and Perth County received support through the Emergency Accommodation Program. As of January 2023, 52 individuals are enrolled in the Supportive Housing of Perth program, also known as SHOP. As of January the 31st, 2023, there were 137 households experiencing homelessness in Stratford, St. Mary's, and Perth County. I want to put a personal perspective on that comment, that number. My go-to place to meet with residents is coffee culture. And I frequently go and I'll have a coffee with an individual resident. I think the last one had to do with the upcoming hog jog. And going in, I bought myself a coffee, and I recognized a gentleman, a homeless gentleman, that was welcomed into coffee culture. I bought him a coffee, and then I proceeded on with my meeting with the gentleman I was meeting with. After the meeting, I went over and introduced myself. And I asked about his life and where he was born and where he went to school, etc. He shared with me that he was born in Stratford, went to elementary school in Stratford, and to high school. I said, "What years did you go to high school?" He said, 1972, 73. And I said to him, "You and I went to grade 9 and 10 together." And that's an acknowledgement that those homeless challenges are not challenges from outside of our community. Sure, we have some, but those are challenges of our own residents that we need to acknowledge and support. So having said that, I took the opportunity, and I was going to mention his name, but out of confidence, I won't. Took the opportunity to encourage him to visit our Connection Center. The opening of the Connection Center at the St. Paul's Anglican Church continues to support many homeless individuals in Stratford. This location allows participants to get a shower, to do laundry, and have a meal. Daily visits allow for trusting relationships to be formed, and the work of the 2 outreach workers that support participants with housing searches, applications for housing, connections with landlords, and move-in readiness. This amazing work by our outreach workers will hopefully prepare participants for the Rapid Housing Initiative. Our Social Services Department, and I can't say enough about this amazing department, is in their 3rd application of the Rapid Housing Initiative through Canada Housing Mortgage Corporation. The 2 previous excellent applications were unsuccessful due to the large number of municipalities across Canada applying for the program and the limited pot of money available. But you know what? There is certainly good news. In late summer, early fall, the Britannia Street Phase 2 will open with 26 additional affordable and accessible units. Applications are currently being accepted. A service that impacts all of Stratford residents, whether we use it or not, is our exceptional transit system. Certainly, the pandemic has had a huge impact on ridership. And the numbers that I share will indicate this. In 2022, there was a ridership of 340,000. That dipped to, in 2023, 303,000. In 2022, it was 472,000 plus. Transit is slowly moving back to the pre-COVID ridership of 600,000 plus riders. I am proud of the service provided, and I am proud of the investment made in Stratford Transit. Our transit system is constantly looking for ways to serve our residents and finding ways to protect our environment, from offering transit on demand, which through Lindsay's support I have tried, and certainly a wonderful opportunity to our residents. Some tweaking might require, as I hear them when I'm on the bus, but certainly that is one of the things that our transit department is doing, along with that of doing their work with regards to our environment, with regards to future hybrid and EV buses, the addition of 13 new accessible shelters, and this is important as well, tailoring the transit system to the needs of our industry. This transit system is extended beyond Stratford through the intercity transit system, with 5 routes that are part of the PC Connect system, which connects communities in Perth County, Stratford, and St. Mary's, and goes beyond Perth County to connect with Elmira, Kitchener-Waterloo, and London. Ridership that is used for shopping, medical appointments, and getting to work. Ridership that was also negatively impacted by the pandemic. This partnership is largely supported by the provincial government and was funded to 2023. But in recognition of the challenges around COVID, it has been recently extended to 2025. This service can also serve as the first mile and the last mile as local residents wish to access via rail and the GO train. We need to continue to work for our community, and when I say our community, I mean St. Mary's and Perth County, to have increased rail service for both local residents, travel, and tourism. I have had 2 opportunities to travel by train to Queen's Park and fully appreciate the challenge of the schedule, but also appreciate the opportunity and potential of an advanced and enhanced rail schedule. On Tuesday, I had a delegation with the Minister of Transportation, Carolyn Mulrooney, to address future support and growth of both the PC Connect and our rail service. Are we on schedule here? Thank you. Our service, another service that is fully available to our community is our health care. The Huron-Perth Healthcare Alliance is at 100% of its pre-pandemic levels. A $50 million investment to Stratford General Hospital will be made over the next 4 years. This includes $18 million plus for the redevelopment of the chemotherapy and pharmacy unit. And a small note on that, Councillor Beattie and I ran across an individual from Goderich at the Good Roads Conference, and he indicated how blessed he was to use our chemotherapy unit in Stratford. All these little asides really help us recognize the importance of what we do. Also, the replacing of the MRI and operating room and X-ray equipment, critical equipment not covered by the province. I am proud of the City of Council's $5 million commitment to the Stratford General Hospital Foundation campaign. This commitment will commence once we have completed our $5 million campaign commitment to the Stratford Rotary Hospice, another amazing facility in our community. Physician recruitment continues to meet the needs of our residents. 14 specialist physicians have been recruited over the last year, and in 2023, we will welcome 8 additional physicians. Now, if Andrew Williams can attract my son and or my daughter to joining your amazing team, it would make this OPA very happy. Tall order, Andrew. Our economic, residential, and industrial growth must continue to be done with an environmental lens on it. The new environmental compliance regulations have been imposed on municipalities for stormwater management and wastewater collection. I am proud of the proactive work that the city is doing to maintain our high level of service to our residents. Upgrades to our water and wastewater communication network ensures optimal cybersecurity and protection for our water system. Community awareness of World Water Day, Children's Water Festival, and the source water protection are key to ensure that we do not take for granted the resource that we have in water. Our capital action work continues. The expansion of the Green Bin program to include collection in multi-residential units, in schools, and in commercial and industrial sectors will soon begin. In 2022, and I'm always impressed by the data that Mike Bites puts out, but in 2022, we diverted 991 metric tons of organics from our landfill. 23 EV charging stations are on the list, 22 L2 and 1 L3 are slated for the installation at downtown parking lots. The important work of our climate change program manager continues, with the environmental assessment of city buildings, the introduction of the Green Recognition Awards program, recognizing green work done by private residents, local businesses, and industry, and the Earth Day events this coming Saturday, now slated for Factory 163. Let's talk about some of the economic drivers in our municipality. The importance of small business cannot be overstated. Business that employs thousands of local residents. Small business that added over 110 new jobs last year, offering the goods and service that are essential in our community. My thanks to you and to what you offer to our economic base and to the social fabric of our community. Your resilience during the pandemic was a true testament of your grit and resourcefulness. To the team at Destination Stratford, thank you. Your regenerative tourism projects have continued to have a positive impact on our local economy. The Alfresco program, the self-guided auto walking tours, the 13th year of the culinary trails, and our granddaughter's favorite, the 3rd annual Lights on Stratford. You continue to work at improving visitors' experience and the quality of life of all of our residents. The opening of the Boathouse Washroom project is a great example of your work supporting visitors and local residents. This project resulted in the transformation of the outdated seasonal facility into a modern, fully accessible public washroom that opened in March of this year. Not only does it support the busy tourism season, outdoor summer festivals, and community events, it also acts as an alternative for the winter season. Another key economic driver in our community is the Stratford Festival. The festival and its 4 theater locations is a big part of the 1.5 million visitors to Stratford each year. A tip of my cap to recognize your resiliency demonstrated during the pandemic. With the 2020 season shuttered and a small outdoor season in 2021 bringing $8.9 million into the community, in 2022, the Stratford put on a full season of 13 productions, with the attendance reaching 326,000, with an economic impact of $88 million in our local economy. This season will see 13 plays across the 4 venues, plus almost 200 forum events, and a projected attendance of 430,000 people. From my office, I can certainly see and hear the energy in the streets as tourism returns to Stratford. I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Stratford Festival employs over 1,000 people in our community. I want to turn my attention to what still remains the key pillar of our economic base, industry. I have almost completed my tour of the industrial facilities in our city. Facilities that the number of employees range from 19 to well over 1,000. With these visits, I'm struck by the amazing, talented women and men that are producing products that have global reach. Products that are seconds in their production time to ones that are 4 years in the making. Generating sales of over $1 billion annually. This production ranges from individual work to co-production with employee and robot to total robotic production in a clean and safe environment. Companies that are embedded in our community through their environmental work and the generosity of their employees and management to social agencies and causes. Another important realization through my visits is the number of employees commuting to Stratford. Many facilities have over 50% commuting from London and KW area. One of our largest employers of almost 1,200 employees report that 32% of their employees are from Stratford, 42% come from Kitchener, Waterloo, and London area, and 22% from areas just outside of our city. Another one of our top five largest employers shared that 70% of their current job applications were from immigrants, with India and Africa topping the countries of origin, versus of the applications of yesteryear of Milverton and Shakespeare. So we have work to do in two areas. One, working with our federal government to support many workers and employers with their goal to gain permanent citizenship status. It also reminds me of the important work of increasing affordable and attainable housing for our current residents and for people that work here and wish to live here as well. Private development will bring over 1,500 new housing units on market over the next 3 years. We must be more accepting of residential infill and higher density planning. We need to continue our work within the Invest Stratford team. The partnership with the Attainable Market Housing Pilot Project, a project that will potentially see the city come to the table with land and having a say in the type of housing built, to increase the inventory of housing, rental, and owned, with an attainable price for first and last-time home buyers and everything in between. In addition, the work of Invest Stratford, we need to continue our work with Invest Stratford regarding workforce development. The attraction and retention of a workforce for all sectors. The training and retraining of a workforce that reflects the needs of local employers. The growth and servicing of land, industrial land, must continue, providing opportunity for existing businesses and industry to expand, and also for an open for business portfolio for potential new investors ready to call Stratford home. These new opportunities are frequently the result of our partnership with SOMA, the Southwestern Ontario Marketing Alliance Partnership, allowing Stratford's presence at 14 trade shows globally and generating more than 205 direct foreign investment leads. This brings us to that most enjoyable topic of budget. Where do the funds come from to support the necessary services, work, and investments in our community? The 2023 total budget is set at $143 million. The total capital program for 2023 is $34 million. Work featuring roads, sewers, water main, and sidewalk. Projects like the Albert Street Phase 1 from Waterloo Street to Front Street. 2 blocks that comes in at a cost of $3.8 million. Replacing water and sewer infrastructure from early 1900s. Road surfacing, curbs, sidewalks, and a traffic circle designed to promote road sharing with vehicles and bicycles. The Duns Bridge repairs and widening at $1.2 million. The final surfacing and traffic light installation of the Huron Street project, a project that will cost a total of $8.2 million. The budget for resurfacing, asphalt resurfacing, and I don't have to tell you how often that conversation comes up in our community, but a budget that is set at $1.5 million for this year. These infrastructure costs are challenging for all Canadian municipalities. Municipalities that own and maintain 60% of total infrastructure, and yet have access to only 12% of all tax revenue. And from our conference, the Good Roads Conference this past week, it was suggested that perhaps that number is 9%. Our asset management shows a 10-year forecast requiring an investment of $63 million. Currently, we raise enough to fund 35%. So when we look at the future possible loss of development charges, we look at the loss of significant funds that support the renewal of infrastructure and the building of new. So what are the funding sources to cover our $143 million 2023 budget? Shared services, user fees, grants, and tax levy. So when we look down at the chart and we look at the property tax line, the increase of approximately $5 million between 2022 and 2023 is where we find the average assessment value increase of $255 per home. I would like to turn my attention to another picture that I have on my office wall, and it's this one right here. I found that picture in my office in an old wood frame, and I had it reframed, and it's seated right behind my desk. So when I have visitors, they understand that that's a priority. Visitors, as I'll mention in a few minutes, MPP Matthew Ray and MP John Nader. So in my inaugural address, I referred to this historic site and the building as a gem. I've had the opportunity to share a broad vision of this land and the building with both our MPP Matthew Ray and MP John Nader. The renewal and redevelopment of this 18-acre site will be one of Stratford's largest undertakings in many years. The size and scope of this project can only be accomplished through private and public partnership. This 3P project will require the involvement of all 3 levels of government: federal, provincial, and municipal. Early work will evolve around what we see as the key anchors: the YMCA, and I see some of their staff here today, the University of Waterloo Stratford campus, and we have the new director with us today as well, for their increased teaching space and adding, hopefully, student residents, and the potential of 160-bed long-term care facilities. This will include the future and long-awaited home for the Stratford Lakeside Active Adults Association. I'm hoping I can hear them from the Rotary Complex acknowledging that. A Citizens Advisory Committee will be named to work with the staff to identify possible additional uses and the means to realize the total vision. A fundraising campaign will engage all residents. Work to date has involved environmental assessment and the removal of the lumber ceiling, lead and asbestos abatement, and the painting of the steel skeleton to provide protection. This work was mostly covered from the reserve set aside from the sale of the land from the new Tom Patterson Theatre. Recently, we continued our promotion of this exceptional project with a delegation to the province at the Good Roads Conference. I must acknowledge all the work to date by CAO Joan Thompson, and this project is only possible because of the years of work by former Mayor Dan Matheson, and numerous council members. In closing, I wish to refer to a statement made by President Joe Biden when he recently addressed Parliament. I'd always say to President Obama in our private meetings that a country is never more optimistic than its president or its leader. He continued, "Well, I have never been more optimistic in my life. I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. As the mayor of this amazing city, I am truly optimistic about the city of Stratford, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. As a recently named in Forbes magazine as one of the top 3 small towns to visit Ontario, I love our city. I am proud to be the mayor of a city which celebrates and advocates for the arts and industry, a community where we are valued, where all are valued, and where residents are measured only by the size of your heart and the kindness that you share. And I believe that in the city of Stratford, there will always be more that unites us than divides us, a city where anything is possible. So in closing, let's walk together, let's work together, and build a future together in this beautiful home called Stratford. Thank you once again for joining me this morning.